Okay, so for today's episode, I want to talk about something that I brought up in I think my second or third podcast. Whenever I was talking about my hate list, I think I was talking about how I hated New York or how I had recently been to New York and I hated it. Well, I've recently been to New York again, New York City, if that wasn't clear, if you didn't know what I was talking about. I've been to New York City recently, and I finally feel like it's time that I shock the internet with my opinions on New York because they're very unique and different, and no one thinks like me. I feel like I have a very complex relationship with New York because I do love the idea of New York. I love the idea of living in a cute little New York apartment and going to cute little New York restaurants and bookstores and coffee shops and sitting on the street and living my New York American dream. But do I love the idea of New York? Yes. Do I love New York in reality? That's what, no. So far, I don't. Maybe I'll go again one day and I'll love it. So I'll give a full comprehensive analysis of my opinions of New York. Well, specifically, I love the getting to New York for the first time, like in a car, or I've gotten to New York on a bus before, or getting in the Uber after getting into the train from Penn Station or whatever. Whenever I'm in a car driving around New York when I get there for the first time, especially at night, it I have such a rush. I feel like I am on my way to Broadway and I've been discovered, or I'm going to audition and I'm Rachel Berry and I'm about to live my amazing, beautiful New York dream. It I feel like I always get such butterflies in a rush when I get to New York. I'm like, I'm a fancy woman and it's my time to make it on Broadwagon Way. Then I get out of the car, and this is all from the car. I love New York from being in a car. I get out of the car, and then someone does something scary and I'm so scared, and then I don't like it anymore. Because I am someone who is easily startled. I am some sometimes a little skittish. I'm kind of afraid of things very easily, and I feel like, New York is absolutely not the best place for that because it's so scary and it's so big and so scary. And so much crazy stuff happens. And one of my favorite um part-time activities is self-sabotaging. So when I get to New York and say something scary happens or something weird happens, like one time me and my friends were on, and boyfriend. I'm not allowed to call him one of my friends, my boyfriend. We were on the train. It was like 2 a.m. Picture the drunk train. All of a sudden, homeboy just starts projectile vomiting. It is squirting out the sides of his mask. I really want to paint a picture of this for you guys, to show the essence of New York that I was feeling that day. So his vomit is squirting out the sides of his mask, basically filling up the subway car. I'm holding my neck above it. I'm drowning in his vomit because there was so much. Everyone is running to the other side of the car, and he just does not wake up. He sleeps through it, which I would love to sleep that well. Yeah, but I was a little concerned. So after something like that happens, then I go on the news. I mean, not necessarily that because it wasn't that scary, but say I hear people yelling because that happens a lot in the subway. Okay, so I hear people yelling and I'm like, well, let me go on my phone and let me look up New York City crime. And then I read all of the news stories from that day and the year, and then I'm looking up statistics about how many people have been stabbed that year and the probability that I or someone I am with is going to get stabbed in the next, 30 minutes while we're on this subway. And then I completely convince myself that someone is going to run and push me in front of the subway because, things like that happen in New York. And yeah, so I mean, am I part of the problem? Probably not. I definitely don't think I'm making things worse for myself at all, but yeah. So while I do get that, butterfly feeling like I'm going to perform on Broadway and I'm what's her name? Leah Michelle, on my way to performing Funny Girl, I also like to self-sabotage by, looking up how many times people have been stabbed in the subway. So, it's kind of a give and take there. Another thing is that I'm from South Carolina, and I didn't go to New York for the first time, New York City, NYC, the Big Apple. I didn't go for the first time until I was in college. Or no, I was like a junior in high school, I think. I got to go on a school trip there to the United Nations. It was wild. It was insane. And I'm sorry, my cat is like trying to get into my dresser right now. She's being weird. And since then, I've gone to New York probably like, I don't know, 10 times in the past through 4 or 5 years, because now I go to school in DC and I have a lot of friends that live in New York or live near New York. So it's a lot easier and more feasible for me to go. Also, I can go by myself. I'm like, I can go all by myself now, but I can go with just my friends rather being like 16 and like a teeny bopper and like I would definitely get pushed in front of the subway then. But now I have a fighting chance. What I'm trying to say is that every time I go to New York, it's always for like 1, 2 or 3 day trips, and I'm always there for a reason. Like this past time I went, we were going for a birthday party, and the time before I went, we were going for a graduation, like the NYU graduation. No, not the one with Taylor Swift. Thank you for asking. I'm always there for a reason. So it's not like I'm there for like 10 days or a month and I can kind of, live like a local, be relaxed, take my time, walk around. I'm always like go, go, go from 7 a.m. to like 2 in the morning. I'm taking the subway. Scary for me. I am doing 100 million things in a day. And if you know me, that's not really like my favorite thing to do. So I feel like New York hasn't really had a fair chance at winning me over because I know New York City is really pressed about winning me over because I'm never really able to just like relax, take my time, like go to Press Juicery and get a little bit of a frozen juice and then walk around and go to a bookstore and then take a nap. Like I'm always there for some event or some celebration or whatever, which is fine. I mean, it's great that I get to go at all, but maybe one day I'd like to go and give it a real shot. Another thing about New York, which is obvious, is that it's a very busy, chaotic, crazy city a lot of the time. I've been known for calling it the city that never sleeps. I came up with that phrase and no one else has ever said it, and that's my thing. A lot of scary stuff happens, like people yell, and there's also a lot of homelessness, which is really awful and sad, and I just wish that they were being helped, and it just makes me sad, like, to see I don't think this is bad to say, but it just makes me sad seeing so many homeless people and so many people who, like, need help or have mental health issues or, don't have a place to sleep or don't have food, like, there isn't I mean, of course, there are homeless people in South Carolina and DC, but I feel like there are obviously a lot more. I I I'm presented with it a lot more in New York, like, walking around. I mean, it's the homelessness issue is everywhere, especially it's gotten a lot worse after COVID, and yeah, but maybe it's a good thing. Obviously, it's good that I'm uncomfortable by that, and it makes me sad, but and then sh I should do something more to help. But that's another reason why I don't necessarily always love New York, and just, like, it's very loud and busy. I hate Times Square. Don't even get me started on Times Square. It's my least favorite part. It's so scary. All of the Eminem dressed people and the Paw Patrol characters and the Elmos that literally look like they were like created in a lab and crawled out of the sewer like Pickle Rick. I hate it so much. And I hate all of the advertisements and everything. Like I am someone, yes, I'm susceptible to consumerism. I suffer from a shopping addiction. But when I step foot in Times Square, I never want to purchase anything ever again. because there's 100 million ads and I'm like, this is so sick. Advertisements are rotting our brain. I can't we should just all be into communal living and Old Navy should take down their sign and we can all just live happily ever after. And then of course I go to Target today and I'm like, I need everything. So, yes, I'm a hypocrite, but whatever. Oh my god. Oh my god, my Millie. My cat is like doing an American Ninja Warrior course in my closet right now. Millie, stop. Say hi to the podcast if you're going to be over here. Millie says hi. Okay, well, that is actually, I think that's a nice place to wrap up the episode. I've given you my opinions on New York. You can kind of sit with that, let them fester. And yeah, thank you for listening.